Have you ever felt confident for one moment, then one comment from someone else erased it like it never existed? And have you ever wondered why you can achieve something big, yet still feel small inside when nobody claps? Welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are going to talk about self-esteem in a way that actually helps, not the loud kind that depends on winning. Not the fragile kind that collapses when life changes. We are talking about unshakable self-esteem, the kind that stays steady even when the world is uncertain. We will borrow the clean practicality of Stoic wisdom, and we will root it in Buddhist practice so it becomes a path of awakening, compassion, karma, and a calmer relationship with destiny. Here are the two ideas to hold gently as we begin. First, shaky self-esteem often comes from outsourcing your worth to things you cannot control, like opinions, attention, comparison, or outcomes. When worth depends on what you cannot control, you will feel unstable. Second, unshakable self-esteem is not built by forcing positive thoughts. It is built by training the mind and heart through repeated wholesome intentions. That is karma in action. And over time, karma becomes character. Character becomes destiny. Let me tell you a story, because self-esteem is not a slogan. It is a life. There was a person named Jordan who looked confident from the outside. Jordan could speak well, perform well, and even inspire others. But privately, Jordan lived with a constant inner tremor. If someone praised Jordan, relief came, but it vanished fast. If someone criticized Jordan, the whole body tightened. If a message did not get answered quickly, Jordan assumed rejection. If a project went well, Jordan felt proud for a night, then woke up with the fear of losing it. Jordan did not call this low self-esteem. Jordan called it being driven. Jordan called it ambition. Jordan called it caring. But beneath the surface, there was a simple pain. Jordan did not trust inner worth. Jordan believed worth had to be earned every day, and then re-earned again tomorrow. One day, something small happened that changed everything. Jordan posted a piece of work online. Nothing dramatic. Just something Jordan cared about. For the first hour there was silence. No feedback, no reaction. Jordan felt the nervous system switch into threat mode. Chest tight, fingers restless, mind racing. Jordan checked the phone again and again. Then Jordan began rewriting the story. Maybe it is bad. Maybe people hate it. Maybe I am not talented. Maybe I embarrassed myself. Then, finally, a comment appeared. One person said it was not very good. That was all. Just one sentence from a stranger. But it hit Jordan like a punch. Jordan spent the entire night replaying it, dissecting it, imagining judgment spreading like fire, imagining future failure, imagining being exposed as a fraud. In the morning, Jordan looked in the mirror and felt a strange disgust, not only at the work, but at the neediness. Jordan whispered, "Why do I care this much?" That question led Jordan to a quiet bookshop where an old paperback about Stoic practice sat on a shelf. Jordan bought it without knowing why. On the way home, Jordan flipped through a few pages and landed on an idea that felt like a cold, clean glass of water. Focus on what you can control. Release what you cannot. Jordan thought, everyone says that. But then Jordan read more carefully. The book explained that the only true possession you have is your choices, your intention, your integrity, your response, your attention. Everything else can change without asking permission. Praise can vanish. Health can shift. Money can rise and fall. People can misunderstand you. If you build your worth on these things, you build your house on waves. That evening, Jordan found a small meditation hall not far away. It was not a dramatic place, just a room, chairs, a calm atmosphere. The teacher there was named Anil. Jordan expected mystical talk. Instead, Anil spoke plainly. He said, "Confidence based on outcomes is fragile. Confidence based on practice becomes steady." Jordan asked, "What practice?" Anil said, "There are habits that build stable inner strength, not habits of ego, habits of wisdom, habits of compassion, habits of ethical intention. When you repeat these, you create karma that supports peace. When the mind is peaceful, self-esteem becomes steady, because it is no longer begging the world for permission to exist." Jordan kept coming back each week. Over time, Jordan unlearned for habits that quietly changed the inner ground. They were not flashy, they were not complicated, but they worked because they were real. The first habit was separating worth from noise. Jordan realized that the mind treats noise as truth. Noise includes other people's moods, social comparison, attention metrics, gossip, random criticism, even random praise. Noise can feel powerful because it triggers old fear. But noise is not a reliable mirror of your value. Anil taught Jordan a simple practice. When the mind reacts to noise, pause and name it. Approval seeking, comparison, story. Then return to what is controllable. What is my next wise action? What is my next kind action? What is my next honest step? Jordan tried this in daily life. At work, when a colleague made a sharp remark, Jordan felt the old urge to prove worth immediately. Jordan paused, breathed once, and asked, "What do I control here?" "I control my response. I control my tone. I control whether I had harm." Jordan responded calmly, clarified facts, and moved on. Later, Jordan noticed something important. The body did not carry the conflict for hours. The mind did not spin all night. Jordan felt a quiet dignity. This was the first taste of unshakable self-esteem, not the high of being liked, but the steadiness of acting with integrity. From a Buddhist view, this is wisdom and karma together. Wisdom sees the difference between signal and noise. Karma is the repeated choice to respond skillfully. Every time you do it, you strengthen the pathway. The second habit was keeping promises to yourself. Jordan realized that low self-esteem is often not a feeling problem first. It is a trust problem. When you break your own commitments repeatedly, even small ones, your mind quietly learns that you cannot rely on yourself. Then the mind looks outside for stability. Approval becomes a crutch. Anil said, "Do not start with huge promises. Start with a tiny vow you can actually keep. 1 minute of breathing each morning. One honest boundary each week. One small act of care for your body. One step toward a meaningful goal. Keep it small enough that you can succeed. Then repeat." Jordan chose something simple. Each morning, before touching the phone, Jordan would sit and take 10 calm breaths. Nothing else. No perfect meditation. Just 10 breaths. At first it felt too small to matter, but something changed after 2 weeks. Jordan began to feel self-respect, not pride. Self-respect, because Jordan was keeping a promise. This is a Buddhist kind of practice because it trains discipline without cruelty. It also trains compassion because when Jordan missed a morning, Jordan did not attack the self. Jordan simply returned the next day. That return was also practice. Over time, Jordan added another promise: speak truthfully, even when nervous, but do it kindly. Jordan practiced right speech in daily moments. Not perfect, but sincere. Every time Jordan did it, the inner ground became more stable. This is how karma becomes destiny. When your daily intention becomes more consistent, your mind becomes less chaotic. When the mind becomes less chaotic, it needs less approval. When it needs less approval, self-esteem becomes unshakable. The third habit was training the inner witness. Jordan learned that most suffering about self-esteem comes from believing every thought about the self. The mind produces labels: not enough, too much, weak, lazy, behind, unlovable. These thoughts feel personal, but they are often old conditioning. Anil taught Jordan a basic mindfulness method. Feel the breath. When a thought appears, label it as thinking, then return to breath. This simple move creates space. Space is freedom. Jordan practiced at night when anxiety rose. Instead of arguing with thoughts, Jordan named them. Thinking, comparing, judging, then returned to breath. Jordan also placed a hand on the chest and offered a phrase of kindness. May I be steady. May I be kind. This practice did not erase fear overnight, but it changed the relationship. Jordan stopped treating the inner critic as a god. Jordan began to see the critic as a habit, a frightened protector trying to prevent shame through constant control. In Buddhist language, this is awakening. Awakening is seeing clearly that thoughts are events, not identity. Wisdom is knowing that clinging to these thoughts creates suffering. Compassion is holding the fear beneath the critic without adding violence. As Jordan developed the witness, something surprising happened. Jordan became more confident in the real sense, because confidence is not the absence of doubt. Confidence is the ability to stay present while doubt passes. The fourth habit was practicing values under pressure. Jordan noticed a pattern. Self-esteem felt strongest on easy days, but collapsed on hard days. Hard days revealed the real foundation. When stress hit, Jordan wanted to lie, avoid, blame, or perform. These moves gave temporary relief, but later created shame. Shame weakened self-esteem. Anil said, if you want unshakable self-esteem, practice your values when it is hard. Not perfectly, but sincerely. Choose one value: honesty, patience, courage, kindness. Then practice it in a small, real moment under pressure. Jordan chose courage, not dramatic courage. The courage to have one honest conversation that Jordan had been avoiding. Jordan met with a friend and said, I care about you, but I have been feeling hurt and I need clarity. Jordan expected rejection. Jordan expected conflict. But the conversation became real. The friend apologized. They both softened. Even if it had gone badly, Jordan would still have gained something: self-respect. Stoic wisdom says your character is your fortress. Buddhist wisdom says your intention is your seed. When you practice values under pressure, you strengthen character, and you plant seeds of peace. Peace is what makes self-esteem stable. Now, notice what is happening across these four habits. Jordan is not trying to inflate ego. Jordan is learning to stop outsourcing worth. Jordan is building worth on what is controllable, repeatable, and wholesome. That is why it becomes unshakable, because it is not dependent on applause. As months passed, Jordan began to experience a new kind of freedom. Jordan could receive praise without addiction. Jordan could receive criticism without collapse. Jordan could fail and still hold dignity. Jordan could succeed and still remain humble. This balance is what Buddhism calls equanimity, a steady mind that is not numb, not reactive, and not desperate. Here is the part where everything becomes deeply human. Jordan did not become a perfect person, Jordan still had insecure days, but Jordan stopped treating insecurity as proof of being broken. Jordan treated insecurity as weather. It comes, it passes, the sky remains, the witness remains. Jordan also noticed relationships changing. When you have shaky self-esteem, you may cling to people, or you may push them away, first to avoid rejection. You may become a performer. You may become a rescuer. You may become overly agreeable. But when self-esteem becomes steadier, love becomes cleaner. You can love without attachment. You can care without controlling. You can set boundaries without hatred. That is a Buddhist kind of love. Compassion with wisdom. Now let me bring this directly to you. If you want unshakable self-esteem, do not chase it as a feeling. Build it as a practice. When you wake up, ask one quiet question: what can I control today? Then commit to one small, controllable action that matches your values. Keep the promise. Then forgive yourself and return when you fail. That return is part of the practice. When you feel judged, pause. Name it as noise. Return to breath. Return to values. When you feel shame, place a hand on the chest. Offer compassion. Shame is not a teacher when it is cruel. Shame becomes useful only when it becomes gentle remorse and leads to wiser intention. When you feel comparison, remember that comparison is a mind habit, not a truth machine. Return to your path. This is not self-help glitter. This is karma, repeated intention shaping the mind. And that is why it becomes destiny. Your destiny is not only what happens to you. Your destiny is the inner world you bring to what happens. I want to close by sharing a simple reflection that often creates deep resonance. Many people grew up thinking they must earn love by being impressive, useful, or perfect. They learned that mistakes meant rejection, so they built a life of performance. But performance is exhausting, and it never fully satisfies, because the mind that depends on approval will always fear losing it. Unshakable self-esteem is the opposite path. It is the quiet decision to become trustworthy to yourself, to practice integrity, to practice compassion, to practice wisdom, to practice letting go of what you cannot control. When you live that way, self-esteem becomes less like a mood and more like a home, a place you can return to when life shakes. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you have your own story about building self-esteem after a season of doubt, share it in the comments. Tell me what habit helped you most. Your story might become the exact support someone else needs right now. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment to support these long, calm teachings. And if you want to support the work more deeply, consider becoming a member so we can keep creating steady sessions that help you practice wisdom, compassion, and a calmer destiny.